welcome to another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. As usual, I'm your host, I'm Maryanne Dersch, and today we're going to talk about hosting a lunch and learn. We're not just going to talk about hosting a lunch and learn, we're going to talk about what it is, why it's important, and why it can really help you to grow your donor base, grow your prospects, grow your reach, grow whatever you want. Now, why do you need something like a lunch and learn? Well, first, let me tell you what it is before I tell you why. A lunch and learn is just a simple meet and greet situation where you can invite people into your organization. You can invite people in your community to just a very short, simple introductory session. And it's usually an hour, and you will serve lunch and you invite people to come. And it's not a solicitation, it's an invitation for people who know who you are to get to know you better. So let's talk about why it's important. And then I'm going to go into more about what it is. And then I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. So remember, so let's talk about why. Okay. So remember the awareness, interest, connection, action. Okay. So how we want to engage donors down a journey, allowing them to get to know us better. And awareness is like that broad-based awareness where you're doing publicity in social media, so people may know your organization, but you may not know who they are. This could be, friends of friends, word of mouth, all of those things. But eventually you want people to get into the interest category, which is now they're known to your organization and you have some kind of reliable reach to connect with them. And that's why email is so important. And mental note, I need to do another podcast around email and the importance of email, because that's really the step up from this chain, from where the lunch and learn is on this chain. So let's say, somebody finds your organization and they sign up for your email list, they attend an event or something, and they wind up in your orbit on your email list. All right. Now they're interested. This is the incubator. This is where we keep people warm and interested. Now, the third set is connection, and that is more direct contact. That could be one-on-one, small group, something where there's some sort of personal interaction. That's connection. And the last is action, which means they take action. So they have to know you, be aware, to like you, be interested, love you, be connected, to give you money. So the easy way is know, like, love, give. People who don't know you, like you, love, and love you are not going to give to you. Now, a lunch and learn is one way, and there are many ways, but I really feel like this connection is where we are lacking. If you look at your donor journey, getting people moving to a closer connection is something that I hear a lot of folks are struggling with. How can I get people interested? How can I get people to connect with us? I'm going to give you one example, and there's so many more. A lunch and learn is just one way. One of my clients does a breakfast. The Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet do breakfast with the sisters, and you can go to the Mother House, which this is amazing. This incredible compound, like a historical building, and you can go take a tour and you can meet the sisters and see what they're doing. Like if an art gallery may have once a month may have a special night for new friends. Okay. Anything where you can have a nice, casual, short, and very non-threatening, like very friendly, very welcoming situation. What this does is it allows people who are interested, who are on your email list, if they want to get more, if they want to have a deeper relationship, an opportunity to do so. It also gives your board members something to do. When I was on the board of the Foster Adoptive Care Coalition, we were required, part of our board, a service agreement was to attend, I think, 2 lunch and learns a year and bring somebody. Now, you don't have to host these monthly. I think ideally monthly is great. And it may take a little bit of effort to get them rolling, but once they're rolling, this is probably the last piece of your donor journey puzzle. And so if you look at very typical donor journey, it could be like somebody becomes aware of your organization through social media, through an event, through a friend of a friend. They get on your email list and now they're receiving emails. And then you propose something like, hey, a lunch and learn, or somebody invites them to a lunch and learn, or another event like this to create that connection, right? And then that can move them to greater action. One of the reasons why I love this so much is I was on the board of the Foster Adoptive Care Coalition. I've had a multi-level relationship with this organization, and I was on the board. They were my client. I've been their client. Like we've done everything. But when I was on the board, like I said, I was required to uh, bring people. When I was working with them, I was facilitating meetings, and I would ask meetings of supporters. I was doing focus groups with donors, and I would say, "How did you find the Adoptive Care Coalition?" And so many people said, "Lunch and learn." Somebody invited me to a lunch and learn, and I just fell in love. And I realized that it was a very, very powerful tool that can really fill out your donor journey and get people off your email list and into a greater relationship in a way that's really easy, fun, and like not threatening or overwhelming. Bottom line, this is not a solicitation. This is an introduction. It's like a coffee date for prospective donors. Not everyone's going to stay on the journey. Not everybody's going to come back. And everyone can leave knowing your organization a little better, you knowing them better, and establishing relationships. Remember, not everybody is for you. We don't have to convince everybody in the room to give. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to give people an opportunity to connect further with you. That's the goal. So let's talk about a little bit more about these information sessions. Um, I'm speaking specifically about donors. But this can really be for anybody. Anybody who comes, they could probably be a volunteer, maybe even a program participant, depending on your organization. These are just simple introductory sessions for you to get people to do this. Now, I often say I eat my own cooking, right? I don't tell you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I do monthly. Last year I did it every month. This year I'm a little off schedule a little bit. I took a couple of months off and I powered down a little bit earlier in the year. But my goal is to do one free thing a month. My free webinars that's your lunch and learn. It's free, it's fun, you get a ton of value, you get to know me a little better, you come away inspired and informed with some new strategies, and I get to share what I know and see who in my email list might want a deeper connection or might want to learn more from me. So I do this too. It may take a different form, but the function remains the same, which is to allow people who are in my orbit to have a deeper connection with me if they choose. And a lot of times folks are really looking for ways to get people in the door. And also, I want to say caveat, you do not need a physical location to be able to do something like this. I know a lot of folks, they want people to come take a tour. They want people to come in. If you are way out, you know, in the way far away from a city center or something, you may want to do it via Zoom. If you don't really have a place where people can go and tour, like I was talking with somebody yesterday, and her organization is it's mostly, they mostly work from home and online. They don't really have a physical location. That's okay. That is okay. You can either do Zoom, or maybe you could find a place that you could partner with to host, maybe a local library, a community center, or someplace like that, where they would have open space. You want to make it as easy as possible. If you do have a space, a meeting room or something, my gosh, use it. If not, don't let that deter you. And also, a Zoom webinar, a Zoom educational session is also really, really powerful. I want to say, before I go into the specifics of how to do this, I want to give you a little shot of inspiration that you have a lot more expertise and content and things to share than you realize. I think this is the thing that may be the hardest for folks to pick up on. You can share so much with people. Let's say, you help, you're like Covenant House and you help homeless teens. You could do a session on how to communicate with your teenager. You're experts in that. If you work with seniors, do a session on how to pick an assisted living for your aging parents. Because I'm that age where a lot of my friends, my parents are passed, but a lot of my friends are going through that. Whatever you do, you are an expert at it. You are an expert at um, uh, child rearing. You're an expert at, whatever it is that, getting healthy, preventing diabetes, preventing heart disease, whatever it is, you could do a session about that to see who's in and see who shows up and who may be interested. Promote it to your email list. Ask people to bring friends and invite people to invite their networks to join you. I guarantee you that you have more to share than you think you do. You have so much expertise programmatically than you really realize. Mm. I just did my class just wrapped up, my Uplevel Your Influence course just wrapped up. And I'm just thinking the couple of participants I had in there, one runs a hospital foundation. She could do a lunch and learn around not like, oh, here's how great the foundation is. That would not, but maybe she could do, I mean, that could be part of it, but part of it could be, what's new at the hospital, navigating the hospital system, how to keep yourself out of the hospital, health tips, and how to advocate for yourself when you're in the hospital, what new things are available to you in this community that you may not be aware of, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of topics that you could do that are of great value to people. And also sharing the basics of your organization is of value to people too, because they get to learn about you and what you're doing in the community, and they get to be connected to a resource. Whether that's something that they're going to have a real strong emotional connection to or not is not for you to say. You can just be out there and be like, hey, if you want to learn more about who we are, come and do this thing. Now, here's what I want to say about a lunch and learn. The first thing we're going to talk about is setting the schedule. So here's how to do this. First, you got to get them there. That's number one. And that starts with setting a schedule. You're going to set it for a calendar year. Now, you could start quarterly and then work to monthly. I think monthly works best. And I know you may need to work into that, and that's okay. Remember, like anything new, it's going to take a little bit to get this rolling. So don't get discouraged if it's really hard to get people there in the beginning. I think what happens is, that's that stage of like when you have to do a lot to get folks there and then you get burnt out on it. But if you stay with it, it'll just be a part of your everyday life and you can systematize it. It takes a little bit to do that. So just hang in there in the beginning, even if it gets rough. But set your schedule, commit to it no matter what. And a personal invitation. Nothing gets smiles on screens and souls in seats more than a personal invitation. Encourage your board members, volunteers, committee members, donors, clients to come and also invite others. I think this should be a requirement of board service. And it's an easy way, and it's an easy thing for board members and committee members to do to support the organization. Oh, I just have to bring people to this lunch and learn, and don't freak out. Oh, do they have money or not? That's not the stage we're in, right? I brought my sister, right? My sister has adoptive kids. She loves the Foster Adoptive Care Coalition. She may not be in a position to volunteer, but that's okay, right? Well, this is not about screening people. This is about inviting people to learn more about you so they can be a part of your community. It's not going to be everyone, not everyone is going to give or be a donor, but that doesn't mean that their relationship is not important. I have people in my orbit who have never loved me, love when I work, what I do, have never hired me, and probably will never hire me. And they love what I do. And the relationship is great because they love me, I love them, and they cheerlead for me. They're out there talking about me. They're sharing the word. Are they in a position to work with me? Not at this time. So I'm just saying there's a lot of ways that you can that just because they may not be in a position to give doesn't mean you shouldn't be in relationship with them. Like, like if you only had a friend who would, I'm only friends with the people who can buy me dinner when we go out. Like that's not how it works. So don't fret too much about vetting anyone before they come. But a personal invitation will get people there. So this is great for your board members, committee members, donors. Like, hey, I'd love to introduce this person to the organization. Oh, why don't you invite them to a lunch and learn? It's just such a great way that when somebody says, I'd love to get to know your organization better, or do you have a way for this person to get to know your organization better? You go, as a matter of fact, we do. We have these things called lunch and learns. Um, when you get a new donor, I don't know if you do this, but Foster Adoptive Care Coalition does. They send a new donor packet. It's a welcome to the family email, and there's a packet in the mail, including an invitation to a lunch and learn. So if you get a new donor, You can, when your new donor packet or your new donor email, you can say, hey, thank you so much. Oh my God. And then maybe follow up with a phone call, which I'm sure you're probably calling all your new donors. But if you're not, this is a great thing to say. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested, I'm going to do this lunch and learn. I'd love for you to come. Um, oh, and you want to set the context in the invitation. Um, Use the same techniques as you would when you are meeting with a donor, where we're going to give them the expectations up front. Um, you'll get lunch, it'll be under an hour, and it's information only. Keep your promises. This is not a solicitation. You keep it to an hour. That's it. Give them lunch and share about your organization. And that's what you're going to say you're going to do. And that's what you're going to do and say, this is information only, though. No solicitation. We just love inviting people over and sharing what we do. And then you're going to confirm. Now, you're going to probably confirm the day before. And if your goal is to get 16 people, invite 20. If you want 20, invite 25. Overbook the room because some people won't come and that's okay. That's totally fine. Stuff comes up, but just remember to overbook the room. And also, this is again a great thing for board members to invite friends or family because they're not asking them for money. It's super non-threatening. And they can get to know the organization and then decide for themselves. Now, remember, in influence, which is what I coach and train people on, the more decision making I give someone, the more likely they are to decide what I want. So say, hey, look, if you want, I'd love to have you, but whatever you want to do is okay. So when somebody tries to push you into doing this, they're going to push back. So we don't push, right? We don't force, we don't push. We're just going to say, hey, if I'd love it if you'd come, but whatever you decide is totally okay. Again, this could be an online thing. This could be, doesn't have to be at your organization. It would be great if it was, but if you don't have the space, do not let this deter you. I bet you could find a mutually agreeable place to do something like this. All right, now let's talk about now that we've got people there, let's talk about what's going to happen when they're there. So, room introductions first. Have each person introduce themselves and make sure you get to know who is in the room first before the programming starts. So ask people who they are, where they're from, and then what brought them here today. So if somebody invited them, if there was somebody, how, because I want to hear who's there and why, right? Now this is what I learned from Foster Adoptive Care Coalition, and I interviewed their like chief advancement officer. I don't think that's the title, but you get the person, and asked him all about how to do this. But this is what they do, and I think it's really smart. Agency overview. Give an overview of your agency using um, and using some talking points. You want to go broad because there might be varying interests in the room. So this is not about like how great we are, or we have this program and this program and this program. You want to focus on big picture outcomes. Here's who we are, here's what we do. I talk a lot about the medicine and the cure. The medicine is like, because people will swallow any medicine if the cure is strong enough. So what we want to do is like, we want to make sure that this feels a little more cure and less medicine. And this is not a laundry list of your programs and services. This is the impact you're making. Here's the people we're serving. Here's the impact we're making. Here's the difference we're making in our community, in our state, in our country, in our world, however you work. Okay. So give them that high level impact overview. This is a great time to use video. If you have a video or even a news story about, or, a television news story about your organization, this is a great time to share it. And you can also have rotating staff come and give testimonials. This could be, in Foster Adoptive Care Coalition, they would have people from their 30 Days to Family team, from their extreme recruitment team, which is where they work to get a kid in like a 30 days, right? Um, um, where that you could have somebody from the educational advocacy, like you could highlight different aspects of your organization. And you could also share different aspects of your organization about how people participate. If you have volunteers, the donors, maybe you could go into a little bit about what events you have and how you keep the community engaged. And you can have clients or if it makes sense, invite clients or former clients. I'm not sure we tap into this enough because really, I was I was I have to reach out to this. So if you're from Haven House and you're listening, come back to me. So I was sitting at this little bar I go to, and I was watching the hockey game, and this woman next to me, she was so sweet. She had just moved into the neighborhood from middle of the Missouri for some health reasons to be closer to some hospitals here. And she went out by herself to get out of the house because she was trying to meet people, which I thought was wonderful and very brave of her. And she said, I stayed at Haven House before I moved up here. And she had some chronic health issues and she stayed at Haven House. Haven House is like Ronald McDonald House for adult people. Um, and she said, I stayed there and it made all the difference and they were amazing. And I love Haven House. And she goes, I told them, if you ever need anything, I would be happy to help you. If I was doing lunch and learns at Haven House, I would ask this woman to please, would you come to a lunch and learn or come to any lunch and learn that you can and give this testimonial because there's nothing like hearing it from the person who experienced it. Now, I know a lot of you are working with people who are dealing with trauma and it's not a good time, and I get that. And also, giving back, contributing is our highest order need. And if it is appropriate and if people are willing, I would definitely give them the opportunity to give that testimonial because it makes them feel amazing. It gives them the opportunity to give back. And it's amazing to hear it from people. Right. So me as an adoptive mom, I could come to a lunch and learn at Foster Adoptive Care Coalition and talk about my adoption journey and what it was like for me and my kids. I could maybe bring my kid. There was one time I did a panel. Um, and I brought my oldest, and we talked about what it was like to be adopted. And that's not for everybody. And it was really, really impactful. So just think about who would be in the room to tell the story. It doesn't always have to be the CEO. It always doesn't have to be the development director. If your CEO does not like to speak in front of people, they prefer to be a behind the scenes person, don't put them out there. But bottom line is you keep it tight, keep it high level overview. Meet the people in the room first, right? You want to always center those folks. Share what you know, give them opportunity to ask questions. I didn't say anything about food, but I would say, the times that I've done it, it's either prepackaged, like salads or sandwiches, or like a quick like buffet that people can come in and they grab food and they sit down, or they grab a box and they sit down. So there's really no like getting up or getting down. There's nothing fancy about this. If you can't afford food, don't worry about it. Just don't call it a lunch and learn. You can call it something else. Or if it's cheaper to do breakfast, do it at breakfast. Like coffee and kids or whatever it is. One organization I'm talking to is doing bourbon and books. Hey, it could be uh, beer and books or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be expensive, and it is whatever money you put into this, you will get back tenfold because it is an incredible um, um, tool to get to know people. Keep it tight, keep it to an hour, keep your promises, get to know everybody in the room, and then after your presentation, allow for cross communication so that other people in the room get to know each other so they can start sharing their own stories or sharing their own experiences, and encourage that and encourage the people who come like that you already know, like your board members, committee members, or donors, to like share and ask questions to get a little bit of a dialogue going. Do not run late. If you start at noon, end at 1, and then people are gone. Now, here's what happens. In the room at the end, you can invite um, anyone who would like a personal follow-up meeting or call. You can give them a sign-up sheet for your email. You probably already have their email, but if you don't, just make sure you have a sign-up sheet or you're getting people's email. When they, register or whatever, you could have a form on your website that people could register for. Most of the times that people have done this, it's not like a formal registration thing, although you could definitely do it that way. But if you haven't captured their emails already, make sure you just capture it in the room. But you can say, invite anyone who would like a personal follow-up meeting or call, and schedule it in the room if you can. Um, if that's logistically possible. If somebody says, yeah, I'd love to. I mean, this has been really great. I'd love to know how I can help more. Say, oh my God, that's so amazing. Um, would you want to come by next week? What does Thursday morning look like for you? Now, it's not always logistically possible, but I would want, if it were me, I would be following up and booking those sessions as fast as I can. You could even put a QR code on the screen to see if anybody, hey, if you want more, if you want to, come by, like maybe you're an animal sanctuary and you're offering people a chance to, and the lunch and learn is not at the animal sanctuary because it's far out, but hey, if you want to come and you're willing to drive, I would love to have you. I'll give you a special tour. You can sign up here or give me your number and I'll call you and we'll schedule it. The bottom line is giving people an opportunity to continue the relationship with you and trying to schedule that in the room. Now, the last piece is follow up. As you know, with events, what happens before and what happens after is as important as what happens during. So the follow up is, giving everybody who comes a personal phone call. Yes, you're going to call them, leave a voicemail because they probably won't pick up because that's okay. Um, and just thank them for attending and offer and say, hey, thank you so much for attending. If you ever want to get to know the organization or if you're interested in getting involved with us and making an investment in, ABC agency, I'd love to talk to you about it. I'm here if you ever want to talk and you just leave your number and that's it. And if they're not on your email list, you put them on your email list. You could, if you wanted, people that have come to the Lunch and Learn, you could tag them and maybe give them special invitations that they've done the Lunch and Learn. Hey, maybe special invitations that would up the game a little bit, a behind the scenes thing, a special discount if you're a theater company or something. Give them something to make them feel special for having done that and having attended, and like now they're in the know a little bit more. And again, this is not a solicitation, it is an introduction, and you're making the introduction and then it's up to them. Now they're in your orbit, they're in your wheelhouse, they've gotten to know you better, and we left very positive. The thing about I want you to remember the most is that we all leave feeling good. They felt good for having gotten to know you, you felt good for having got to know them, and they leave even if they go and like this isn't really like my thing, like this is really cool and I'm so glad my friend's involved, but honestly this is not for me, like okay, no problem. And because they felt seen and didn't feel pressured, they're more likely to invite or suggest doing this to other people. Now, if you really want to systematize this, you could put this on your website. You could have signups on your website. And that's fine because it makes it easy. But I find that the best way, and automating is okay, but it does not replace a personal invitation. I really want you to remember that. This is a personal invitation. Your board members, committee members, your top donors, your volunteers, give them a personal invitation. Oh, one thing else I want to say is if you have donors in the room, you can ask the donor to give a quick testimonial. Like, here's how I got involved, here's why it's important to me, here's how I give, and that kind of thing. People get very, very passionate and they just love to share. So you don't have to carry the whole thing. Have staff speak, have clients speak, have donors speak. Give people a really rich sense of what's happening from an impact level, from that cure level, not the medicine level. Give them that high level impact and make them feel amazing for attending and just for coming by and getting to know you. This is an introduction to a relationship. Not everybody's going to want it. This is like a first date, okay? Now, I just want to say, lastly, is again, this may be a little bit challenging to get people in the room the first couple times you do it. And if you commit to it, either quarterly, every other month, monthly, I think monthly just is the best. You will systematize this so that it just works in the fabric of your organization and you're going to be filling up these very easily. But this is the best opportunity that I know of to move people who are interested, who are on your email list, into becoming donors, to get them into that deeper connection so that they feel more connected. And so they might consider making a financial investment or an investment of time or an investment of, whatever else. Maybe, they start coming to the gala or whatever. I'm going to tell you the reason I'm sharing this with you is because when I was facilitating, you don't know how many focus groups I facilitated over the years for the Foster Adoptive Care Coalition. And when I ask people, how did you find the Foster Adoptive Care Coalition? They say, lunch and learn, lunch and learn. All right. If you've had experience with Lunch and Learn, please, Maryanne at courageouscommunication.com, share with me what made it successful for you. I could add on to this in the worksheet that I have and in this episode. I'm happy to do that. Um, I would love to share if you're willing to share. I'd love to share it with the audience. And also, like, let me know if you've tried this before or what your success is or if you're interested in trying it. And as always, if you want to strengthen relationships with your donors, if you want to make more money with ease, joy, grace, and flow, stop pitching and pushing and feeling like you have to guilt people into doing something. I'm your girl, and I will teach you the art of influence, which means you can get people you have no authority over to do what you want them to do in a way that feels great for everybody involved. And that is the best skill you could ever have because you can move people to action easily and you will develop long-term lasting relationships because of it. If you want to talk with me, the link is in the bio. It's courageouscommunication.com/connect, but the link is in the show notes, not the bio. And I'm feel free to connect with me at any time. And that's it for this episode of the Influential Nonprofit. Now go out there and do a lunch and learn. I'll see you next time.